Welcome to today's episode. Last week, we talked about processing painful feelings. And today, we continue diving into feelings because feelings really fuel all of the things that we do and that we don't do in our lives. And so, this is an episode of Feelings That Fuel. The reason why I do these episodes where we talk about I pick a couple very specific feelings that I hear that first responder spouses have and go through that I do. Because when we start to relate to our feelings, kind of to build a little separation between us and the feeling, we can start to ease in the feeling. It's not that we don't have the feelings. It's part of being human to have all of the feelings, the good ones, the bad ones, the ones that keep us stuck, the ones that move us forward. This is all what it means to have a human life. And the better we are at relating to our feelings, of understanding where our feelings are coming from, allowing ourselves to be able to feel our feelings and not to be stuck in them saying, it's not supposed to be like this is wrong, or I don't want to feel this way, avoiding them. These are all ways that we get stuck, or shall I say, burned by our feelings, to use a little fire analogy here. So it's not that when we understand our feelings, it's to make sure that we never have them. Of course, we're going to have them, but how do we want to relate to them? So go ahead and take a listen to this episode and give yourself that 10,000 foot view. Remember, this is what I said, which coaching is all about, and helps us explore our brains and explore our thoughts and our feelings to get a new perspective, to take a step outside of just being at the cause of our thoughts and our feelings, that they just kind of seem to happen to us and overwhelm us, and we're just in the muck of them. So the two feelings that I picked today is lonely and secure. So lonely and secure. These two feelings kind of occur to me as opposites of each other. When we are feeling lonely, we might not be feeling very secure, especially when it relates to our relationships. And of course, first responder spouses have a lot of time where they are without their spouse, without their companion. And you are physically alone, at least from your companion. You may have children running all over, or work people, or, the rest of your life. But you might be, well, not just might, you are, in fact, separated from your partner, from your companion. And I say it like that because it is a true fact that those of us who are first responder spouses are separated from our spouses somewhere between 24 to 96 hours, or maybe even if you, right now, this is wildland season. So some of you have partners who are gone for up to like 2 weeks at a time. They go out for a 2-week deployment, and then they get 3 days off, or at least that's what it was for my son who did wildland deployment this year. For the first time, I now have a fire spouse and a fire child. That was a new thing. Anyways, we actually are separated from these people that we love and that we enjoy and that we have a life with. This is a true fact. It may or may not cause the feeling or bring the feeling of loneliness. Because remember, feelings come by the way we think about a particular circumstance. And you may have noticed that sometimes you feel very lonely for your partner, and other times you don't. Why is this? Why is it that we can be separated and sometimes feel lonely and sometimes don't? It's because of the way we think about it. Now, I don't want you to say, "Oh, lonely is a negative emotion. I never want to feel lonely, and so I should just think better thoughts, think something different." No, I want us, going back to last week's episode, just let yourself feel what it feels like to be lonely. When those times you can go back, our brain is so amazing because we can create feelings even in the face of something not actually happening right now. So we have really good movie brains, right? That you can play a movie in your brain and generate big thoughts and really dive into it, and you can actually experience the emotion. So something that you can do on purpose is to see, let me generate the feeling of loneliness on purpose. If you want to, if you're in a safe space for doing this, I don't want you to push into it if you are going to spiral down into it. But if you want to just practice or to reflect on, how does lonely occur to me? Where does it sit in my body? For me, I think lonely kind of sits in my gut. I was actually experiencing some loneliness today, not from my first responder. My first responder was in the room with me. We're on a 5-day off cycle right now, so we have lots of time together. But I'm kind of at the end of summer when recording this, and I was just kind of reflecting on that I've been really busy with work things, and I have missed out on spending time with friends. And I was feeling a little lonely for friendship, and how quickly I noticed myself spiral down into that place of a real negative self-talk of, don't have friends and, this sort of thing. But when I just really identified, hang on, I'm just experiencing the feeling of loneliness right now. I feel it kind of low and deep in my gut. It's a bit heavy, but also open, right? There's like a space, a hole kind of feeling. So when I let myself just get present to, oh, I'm generating because I'm thinking about people that I didn't spend time with this summer. And I'm feeling this emptiness, this loneliness. When I just let myself be in that versus getting all caught up into all the reasons why I feel lonely and, why people aren't there and making it a real problem. I just allowed myself to have a moment of being in the feeling of lonely. And then it passed. I was able to move on to other things. I made some decisions. I thought, this might be one of my things. I am a New Year's person. This might be one of my New Year priorities for next year. My life is sort of changing in terms of just sort of the rhythm of our lives because we are going into our empty nest kind of stage of life. So things are changing and I have to make some new priorities and focus. So for me, friendships and loneliness around friendships might make my list for next year to really focus on. And that was useful too, right? To just put it on there. If you are feeling lonely, maybe when your spouse is there or maybe when they're gone, just see and let yourself be into and process that feeling versus letting yourself go up into your head about it. And just, we're really factual. You are without that person, that special person. And that's okay, right? It's okay to have a time of feeling lonely, not needing to resist it or remove it right away, but let yourself be conscious of it and be gentle and loving with yourself with it. Now, the flip side, the other emotion that I wanted us to explore today, it was feeling secure. When I looked this one up, just to see what the Googles said in terms of definition, I loved this one. It said, self-assured, we are not in danger. And I loved pairing this one, particularly with the feeling of lonely, because lonely can kind of spiral into a sense of insecurity versus security is where we're self-assured, we're not in danger. So if we're in this state of lonely, we can also experience and show ourselves that we are secure, that we can rest in the assuredness that we're not actually in danger. The emotion, the feeling, the vibration of something like loneliness doesn't have to overwhelm us. It can be a normal part of our human experience that can come and go. Having this sense, and you can look to other places in your lives. Where do I feel self-assured that I'm not in danger? That I feel secure? Because again, secure doesn't come because of a circumstance. It comes from the way we think about a circumstance. So oftentimes we give security, the sense of feeling of security to our partners, right? We have these amazing first responder partners who are oftentimes very skilled at like doing things around our house. And, if I can lean into the stereotype, they're strong and they're capable and they go into fires, right? Like who else to feel secure with, right? Than our first responders. This week, I do long distance swimming in the lake, and my first responder came along in our power boat. We've got a little ski boat we co own with some friends of ours. Best way ever to have a boat is to own it with somebody else because you don't use it enough for one person or one family. But at any rate, so my first responder came out in the boat just to be our eyes, right? I swim with a group of people, and we do like to have some people on some small crafts that help make us visible. We do swim with these orange buoys behind us. And this particular swim, we swam across a bay. And if we didn't have somebody who's looking out for us, we would stick along the shoreline. But because we had my first responder there, who also, like me, is a longtime lifeguard, longtime aquatics person, and is a trainer for their water rescue program, people felt very secure with all those credentials and him being up in the boat and putting the orange flag out for us. People felt very secure. But it really came not just because of his presence, but because how they were thinking about it. I set up for them ways to think about my particular spouse being there in a boat that then it occurred to them as being safe and felt secure that they were not in danger, self-assured they were not in danger. Same scenario. There could be somebody who's like, I don't feel very, because he's in a power boat and not on usually we have paddle boarders and somebody who can come in close. And I don't know if he's going to run me over. And, boaters, like a lot of swimmers, maybe have negative outlook on power boaters, right? Because they like zip around and don't pay attention sometimes. So it wasn't just guaranteed that the presence of my spouse was going to create this feeling of security for people, but the way they were thinking about it. So when have you felt secure? When is there a time? And how does that show up in your body? Use that powerful brain that you have to show you a movie and to see, here's a time I felt secured. I didn't feel like I was in danger. Maybe it was a time when your first responder was around, or maybe it was a time on your own that you felt very secure, confidently driving down a road or doing your job, or when you locked your door at night, you felt nice and secure. What is it in those situations? Just notice that feeling in your body and the way that you were thinking about that particular circumstance that created this sense of security, that you felt self-assured you are not in danger. This idea of getting really in touch with how our emotions feel in our body, that we are able to handle and experience all kinds of vibration in our body. That's really what a feeling is a vibration in our body. The better we are at feeling them and experiencing them, the better we are at reacting to them or just allowing them. This is a way that we can build security within ourselves to be self-assured that this vibrations are not putting us in danger. This is the way that we can experience the feeling of something like lonely and feel secure. To have both of these, it's the great both and presence of both of these things within our bodies and within our life experience, knowing that we are experiencing the fullness of life by allowing and being kind and loving ourselves through every emotion and feeling. All right, my friends, be committed, be present, show up with curiosity and love for yourself and for your spouse. And all of the feelings, take them in. You've got this. You are powerful and strong and able to feel big things all over that spectrum of feelings. I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure you subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you can get every episode. And when you are ready to be in action, come find us. Facebook, Instagram, or our website. It's all the same name, relationshipsonfire.com. We've got that S on there. There's lots of us having relationships. So relationships with an S on fire.com. Thanks so much. Saying goodbye, your fire and water gal, Cori Myka. See you next time.